Welcome to another episode of What's Up Irvine. I'm Curtis Drever, your host, and this podcast is about everything that makes Irvine a great city. Its people, culture, influences, and opportunities. I hope that by listening to this podcast, you will learn something new and interesting about our city and be more connected to our community. So today in our studio, we have a special guest, Chief Michael Kent of the Irvine Police Department. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And before we jump into the interview, I'm going to read, you have a long bio. You've done lots of things in your life. So I'm going to shorten here and read it to our audience so they have a little bit of background. So I'm just going to jump right into that. Michael Kent was sworn in Tuesday, October 12th, 2021 as Chief of Irvine Police Department. Chief Kent is a 20-year law enforcement veteran who has served the city since 2002. He is the first Irvine police chief to grow up in our city in Irvine and rise through the ranks from police explorer to chief. He joined the Police Explorer program in 1993 while attending Woodbridge High School. Go Warriors, right?
Warriors, yes.
Okay, local boy. So Chief Kent has received numerous awards for service, including the Medal of Courage, Life Saving Award, Meritorious Service Award. Chief Kent is a graduate of the Los Angeles Police Department's West Point Leadership Program, Golden West College Leadership Program, California Peace Officer Executive Development Course, and several other programs. There's quite a few more listed after that. He's got a lot of education. Chief Kent holds a bachelor's from CSU, Fullerton in Communications, and a master's degree from our own UCI in Criminology, Law, and Society. So I think I got that right.
Yes. No, thank you.
Okay. Well, again, welcome to the show, and we're honored to have you here. And I'm just going to jump into some questions. Again, the goal of this is to have it just a conversation like we're having coffee. And, I'll ask you about what you do, but I think what we really want to communicate with our audience is like, who is Michael Kent, just the person also, because I don't think everyone, when you see a uniform and you see what your role is in the community, they make certain impressions, but when they get to know you as a person, that's what we really want to have is like, oh, okay, Michael Kent, he has a good sense of humor. He's a jokester, I don't know if you are,
Sure.
but again.
I think I'm funny sometimes.
Yeah, we've had coffee before,
right.
so we'll have to start telling jokes here.
Sure.
So let's just start out with, you've been in law enforcement for a while. Like, what has law enforcement taught you about life?
It's really taught me a lot about life. I'm a big quotes guy, and one of my favorite quotes is by Mahatma Gandhi, and it says, to find yourself, you need to lose yourself in the service of others.
Okay.
And I think that's what law enforcement's taught me, is just so much about life and how precious life is, but also how much your words, your actions as a representative of the law enforcement community has an impact on others. Just a simple hello or responding to someone's residence and providing assistance in a traumatic time really changes that person's life. I think it's definitely got me to appreciate life more, and not that I didn't, but I just look at it from a different lens. Okay. You appreciate your friends, your family, and what you have, and probably the most impactful thing is you realize how noble this profession is. For men and women to go out there and put on a uniform and serve their community, especially a wonderful and great community like Irvine, and to go and be willing to put their lives on the line for complete strangers and come back and do it all over again the next day says something. And I think that is pretty powerful. So there's a lot of things that I've learned about life in being in my capacity as a law enforcement officer.
You said a lot right there. I mean, it's quite a bit I meant about life. So, well, thank you. That's a big question and a big answer. I'm going to go back to childhood a little bit. So, you're raised in Irvine. So what's the best lesson that your mom or dad taught you that you can remember?
Yes, it's been a few years since I was a child, but no, I think both my parents were very into ensuring that they weren't having a huge impact on my life as far as forcing me to go down a certain path. They really wanted me to be able to select my own path. what was really important for them, especially for us as an immigrant family, to make sure that we're pursuing our dreams. And that was the big reason we moved to the United States, was pursue our American dream and what that looks like. And I think that is something I've always appreciated of my parents, is giving me that flexibility and that capacity to be able to follow and pursue my dreams. The one thing that they were very adamant about is education, making sure that both my brother and I pursue our education to the fullest, and to whatever it was we set our minds to just give it your all, your all, and walk away with pride in the work that you left on the table.
So that's great. They basically were like, we want to support. We don't want to force. We want to support.
Right.
Left you a lot of room, but then they said, like, kind of, once you choose, go for it. Give it your all. Exactly. So those are good lessons. So okay.
It is, and it's the question is definitely geared towards childhood, but it's something that's stuck with me till this day. Being in my 40s and still having that in the back of my mind with everything that I do, making sure that I'm truly giving it my best. And those are values that I not only pass to my own children, but it's something that I try to pass on to our newer officers that come into the profession. Just having the curiosity and the excitement of being a police officer, right, wanting to go out there to serve, and trying to help them with setting goals for themselves, short-term goals, long-term goals, surrounding yourself with good friends. And obviously you have the family, but also good mentors that are going to help them accomplish and achieve each and every single goal that they set for themselves.
That's great. You have an ability to really impact other lives in a way as a parent, right?
Absolutely.
You're people that are less senior than you that are looking for, and you're giving them that room. It's like, that's huge. You can really have a huge impact on lives as your parents did.
Yes.
So, thank you for sharing that. Here's one I like to ask too. So do you have a tipping point or like a pivotal time in your life that really changed your direction?
Absolutely. And as I mentioned earlier, we are immigrants. So I was actually born in Alexandria, Egypt. My father is Egyptian. My mother is Iranian. So Michael Kent was not my birth name.
Okay.
My birth name is actually Waleed Abdel Samad. But long time ago, we changed our family
Kent
name.
is like an English name, I think.
Kent's an English name, and people ask, well, are you any relations to Clark Kent, the Superman? Is that why you picked it?
Clark Kent.
Listen, I as a kid, I grew up, watching obviously Superman and Batman, but that is not the reason I picked Kent. I just wanted a short, easy, simple name. But everybody that knows me, all my friends, my family, my coworkers, still call me by my birth name, Waleed. So if anybody calls me Waleed, I'm going to turn around and answer them. But anyway, born overseas, and then just like any immigrant story, my parents were looking to provide opportunity. I mean, we loved living in Egypt and growing up in Egypt, but we were a little bit limited with some opportunities.
Okay.
And my parents were just looking at providing my brother and I, who's younger than me, an opportunity for us to be able to achieve our dreams,
Right.
And our American dream. So we moved here in 1990, early 1990,
Okay.
and it was a challenge. It was a big challenge for us. For me specifically, being away from my father, who stayed back to work, but to be able to figure out and understand on my own at 12 years old, okay, what path am I going down?
It's big.
And the pressure, and not that my parents were putting the pressure, but the pressure that's on me now to, what do you want to do now as a young adult, and then going into high school and college and into a career? What does that look like? There were certain careers that were being influenced by family and friends and this and that, but I never had interest in any of those.
Okay.
And my father's an engineer, my mom's a psychologist. As much as respect I have for both professions, it wasn't something that was interesting to me.
Right.
And to go back to your question, what was that pivotal moment in my life? It was a few years after that, after we immigrated to the United States. We were living in Irvine, and I was riding my bike to Woodbridge High School.
Okay.
And I was listening to my Walkman. That's
I
how long
remember
ago
those.
when Walkmans are.
Walkman, okay.
Yeah, for those of you who know, you can Google what a
Google
Walkman,
it, look that
and
one
see
up,
what that
right,
was.
okay.
But I'm listening to my Walkman. I didn't have a helmet on. There was actually no helmet law. That's how long ago it was. But I remember getting pulled over by an Irvine police motor officer.
Okay.
And I was absolutely terrified.
I
Terrified.
bet. I mean, that's
Because what you're, as a child, especially growing up in a different country, you just don't look at the police here, don't look at the police. There's a lot of stigma there. And I think that even exists till today, where people are just very uncomfortable around the police. And so for me, by myself, I think I was 14 or 15 years old at that point. I was absolutely terrified. I didn't know what was going to happen. It was my first encounter with a police officer ever in my life. And then I just remember the officer kind of pulling me over, and he asked me to get off my bike, and I did. And he took his helmet off, and I just remember it like it was yesterday. It was that vivid, and just big, giant, shiny motorcycle, and his boots, and this and that. It was right around when Terminator 2 came out. With that, so here I am, just kind of like, oh my gosh, what is happening? But the thing that really changed that whole encounter is his demeanor, his behavior, his compassion and care towards me.
wow. Okay.
He treated me and he talked to me like a father would talk to his son. Kind of putting his hand on my shoulder. It's okay, because he could see I was scared, and explained to me the dangers of wearing the Walkman and not paying attention to traffic. You could potentially get hit,
driving,
or the distracted driving component. And he truly took his time to. At one point, he even took a knee to kind of come down a little bit. He like I said, he could see that I was visibly shaken, and he did everything in his power to put me in a position of comfort. And but just like any motor officer, he still gave me a ticket for that.
Oh, still going.
But I still remember him, and we actually stay in touch till this day.
I was just going to ask you that question.
Yes, and he truly changed my life by giving me that ticket that day. I went to court to ask for community service. And as a result of that, I went to the YMCA right down the street on the Eastdale Loop to do I think it was 8 hours of community service. And as I was waiting to get picked up from the YMCA, there was a bulletin board with an Irvine Police Explorers flyer. So I looked at that, and I remember hearing something about that or reading something about that, and it was really intriguing. So I got the information. I went to my first meeting at the police department. You had to bring a parent. I brought my mom, and they were having presentations that kind of talked about what the program is, the community service component of it, and I absolutely fell in love. So when you look at that citation, that ticket that I got that day, that truly changed my life to where I am today. And I think most people are familiar with the Chocolate Factory Willy Wonka golden ticket.
Yeah.
That was definitely my golden ticket. I actually still have that citation.
You did?
To this day. Yes.
You kept it?
Yes. That was life-changing for me.
Wow. That was incredible to share. And and the policeman still stayed in touch. That's I was almost gonna thought you were gonna say that when you were at the YMCA that the police officer pulled up while you were serving or something, and I don't know, somehow you run into him again at that point.
Well, the irony is he was actually the lead explorer advisor.
Oh,
so
okay.
Just how everything kind of came full circle.
Like, hey, I remember you.
Yeah, he didn't, but I reminded him, and he felt bad. But if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have. Our paths wouldn't have crossed again. And then, of course, after the Explorer program, going on to college and doing all that, and then when I was ready to go back into the profession, he was the first call I made. I called him. He was still working with the police department at the time. He was able to bring me in on a ride along and then help me with the application process.
Wow.
And yes.
Huge factor.
So huge.
Wow, that's a very pivotal, life change experience from a ticket. So, a ticket can help you, right?
It helped me.
It helped you.
Sure. Yes.
Yes. Well, that answers some other questions, but that was great to share that. I think that most people would probably not know that about you, that life change happened from a police officer, and the compassion, just the way his demeanor and how he handled the whole situation just can totally change it, and did change it.
Absolutely.
So that's great. You're Irvine chief now, and you can share that story too, I bet.
I've shared it with a lot of people, and I think that's the power of being in a uniform. What I constantly talk about with our personnel, our folks, especially those that are working in the field, is every single interaction with a member of the community counts. Every single interaction, and it doesn't have to be a formal interaction. It could be something as simple as waiting at a red light, looking over and seeing somebody and waving at them. They probably won't wave back because they're scared and terrified. Yeah. But just the fact that you're taking the time and smiling and waving, or if you're in line at a coffee shop, starting a conversation, and not that our folks don't do this, they absolutely do. I think what gives the Irvine Police Department, especially the reputation that we have, especially within our community and a law enforcement community, it doesn't have to do with me or management team. It's the people that wear the uniform and go out and interact with the community. We hire good people and we teach them how to become police officers. That's the true difference.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah, I pull up to a police and I actually try to look, not all the time, I'll be honest, but because I think for me, there's been such a height, especially with what's been happening in society, and the police have been under extra pressure and all that, is to go out of my way. And I know friends that I think they've been more purposeful, at least trying to wave or, like thank you or things like that. So,
yes.
So your role, what do you like most? Or maybe let's start with the other one. It's a tough job, I'm guessing. What's probably one of the most or the most difficult thing about being chief of police?
I think one of the toughest parts about the job is making sure that, if I could sum it up into a very short response, but then elaborate on that, just making sure everything's okay. One of the things I've noticed very early on, especially talking to prior chiefs, Chief Hamill and Chief Manger that retired from our department, is I feel like I'm constantly anxious, constantly worried that something's about to happen. And they both said the exact same thing. And this is two different meetings. They weren't there at the same time. They said if you don't have that feeling, that means you're not doing your job right. So I think it's always being on edge and always trying to anticipate things that can happen. How are things globally impacting us here in Irvine, especially with a city so diverse?
Right.
How are things nationally impacting us throughout the state, the county, and obviously within our borders here in the city? And making sure that we're always there for the community. Now, of course, our population's growing, to the point where we're the second largest city population-wise in the county, 13 largest in the city. In the state.
In the state, okay.
And you look at landmass, we're the largest in the county at just about 70 square miles.
Yeah.
So it is, but it's not just that. It's not the size, it's not the population, but what's in the city. A city so advanced and pretty much a tip of the spear in so many different industries.
It is.
And you want to look at a city that is as close to perfect as possible. It's us. Now, are we perfect? No, but we always strive for perfection, and I think that's what makes Irvine so special and unique. So when that is happening at all different ends, it's really important from a public safety standpoint that we're doing that as well. You talk to people in the community, and you look at the different reasons that people are moving to Irvine, sacrificing so much to move from different parts of the county, different parts of the state, different parts of the country, the world, to come to Irvine. It's for several different reasons, but one of the main reasons, it's the safety. It's the public safety component of it.
True.
So that puts a lot of weight on my shoulders and our shoulders as a profession here in Irvine to make sure that we're living up to their expectations.
Yeah. Are you ever off duty? I was wondering more about that because, and I have two questions. Well, answer that one first. Are you ever off duty, really?
Well, do I go home? Yes.
Yeah. Do you have
but am I still thinking about work? Yes. I mean, I joke with people, but I probably charge my phone several times a day because, there's a lot of things that are happening. We communicate via email, via text, via phone calls. I try to stay as connected as possible to everything that's happening because you also want to. It's not necessarily just for notification purposes to my bosses and the city council, but it also has to do with making sure that you're staying connected with the community and the outreach and with stakeholders, with the different members of the community that have that expectation of the department or even the police chief to reach out to them. Just to give you a small example, the tragic and horrible events of Monterey Park and Half Moon Bay. That obviously has a huge impact on our community.
Right.
And being able to pay attention again to what's happening in different parts of the county, the state, the world.
Right.
And making sure that they know that we're paying attention. Not wait for them to reach out, but you reach out to them and offer support and services to give them a peace of mind. As they're celebrating their new year, they know that the Irvine Police Department is there to ensure their safety.
Yeah, that's important.
And, yes, as they celebrate, obviously, with their family, with their friends, and their community.
Yeah, that's tough. So you're always you're kind of,
you're always on.
Yeah, you're always on,
Yeah.
and you're contending for the city. You're
Sure.
you're on the watchtower, kind of looking and always thinking and all that. And so, do you have spare time? I guess my question was, whenever you do have a spare time, do you have like a hobby or what's something you try to do?
With spare time, I try to spend as much time with my family.
I don't know if it's spare, but it's
I think it's really important to have a balance in your life, regardless of the profession. Of course, our profession is a little bit more demanding, but to have a good balance of your personal and your professional life. So for me, I love and I cherish the time I spend with my family, with my wife, my 2 daughters. That to me is the world. Of course, we do our fun activities together, our walks, go to the beach, try to maybe get out of town here and there for a day or so. That to me is what is truly my zen, is the quality time that I spend with the family.
Yeah, never enough. Right?
Never enough.
It's quality and
enough
quantity if you can get both.
Absolutely.
Right. So,
absolutely.
So do you have a do you have a favorite place to go? And maybe I shouldn't ask that because you might have a secret place or something. You go in, you don't want anyone to know.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's if there is a go-to place like that's you like hanging out in a certain part of the city, and I don't know if that's anything that
It's not. I love the whole city. I mean, when we moved to Irvine in 1990, it was probably about a third of the size as it is of what it is today.
right.
Population was maybe 120, 30,000. Most of West Park wasn't even built. So for me to explore this new country, this new city that I was in, it was, I made a couple of friends and riding our bikes and going to the bowling alley, playing arcades, and going to different parts of the city, down to Turtle Rock.
You're being a teenager there, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think for today, there's a lot of places to go visit, and it brings back a lot of those memories for me. But I love going to Spectrum, walking around over there, trying different food establishments, going to different shopping centers throughout the city. I think that what makes Irvine so unique and special. Irvine's not the type of city like some of the other cities that we have here in the county or in the state that will have, like, for example, a Chinatown or a Koreatown or a little Arabia. It's so integrated. And again, that's part of what makes this place so unique. So going to a shopping center and having a variety of choices of, well, what do we want to eat tonight? Do you want to try Thai food, Indian food, Chinese food, Middle Eastern food, or something else?
It's pretty amazing what we have here.
That to me is really what makes us spoiled, I think, because other folks in other cities don't have that opportunity. You got to drive far into the city, but for us, it doesn't matter what shopping center you're entering, and you have a lot of choices. And
yes, people come here for the food, especially Asian food. I know my son lives in San Diego, and they're like he knows people that drive to Irvine because they want, Korean or Chinese or some of the ethnicities that you mentioned. So Irvine is a special place. A couple things I think our viewers might not even know, like how big is the police department?
Sure. We have 252 officers.
Those are okay.
Yes, and we have
252. That's a big. Okay, that's a big number.
It is a big number. It's not the biggest in the county. Of course, the sheriff's department, if you exclude them, we're behind Anaheim and Santa Ana for department size.
Okay.
Now we are growing. We are adding officers every year, just to keep up with the growth and demand of police services in the
Right.
city. We also have about another 200 to 220 professional staff. They're non-police officers that complement a lot of the work that we do. They provide field services. They do different types of work within the department itself. So overall, anywhere from 450 to 500 employees that work at the Irvine Police Department.
That's substantial. That's a good-sized operation.
It's a
right?
good-sized operation,
Yes,
yes.
definitely. So I have a fun question. I actually was curious about this. So one benefit of being a police officer is you don't have to worry about what you dress, how you dress, right? You have a uniform. How many uniforms do you have? Like, do you have one per week that you just go, okay, I'm going to wear, I don't know. It's
Depends on how hot it is outside, how much you sweat.
you actually, okay.
Well,
I don't know. It's silly, but I was like,
Yeah.
I think I want to know. Like,
we all have, depends. Some assignments you don't even wear a uniform. They're in a suit like detectives and this and that. So obviously they're excluded. But patrol officers, for me, for example, I have 3 sets. Four sets. And I usually wear 1 or 2 a week. Again, it depends on if I'm outside a lot and the uniform gets dirty. But now, as far as comfort, these are definitely not designed for comfort, but it is definitely part of what we do. And we do have other alternatives depending on the assignment that you're working.
okay.
I think for me, it's what's really important to make sure our personnel have that security and comfort in what they have on as far as uniform pieces and equipment to make sure that they're doing their job efficiently, but also
Right.
taking care of their body. This
Yeah.
does take a lot of toll on your joints, especially as the years go by in the profession, and you see a lot of injuries, some medical retirements here and there that could have potentially been avoided. So I think part of what's important for me is as the chief to make sure to listen to our people, and if someone comes forward with an idea for a piece of equipment or a procedural change, to have that open mind of, does this work? Does it change the way we provide service? And if
Okay.
not, let's be supportive and provide that support.
Yeah, I mean, uniform is important as well as just the proper equipment and everything. So, okay. I know it was maybe a silly question, but I was thinking about it. Like, does he have 7 uniforms? Or not that you work 7 days, but
Sure.
you kind of do. Just okay.
Yeah. No, I
And
get
just
asked
rotate
that a
every
lot,
Sunday.
actually.
You
I have
do?
one badge. Like,
One
How many
badge.
badges? Yeah, just the one.
Don't lose it. Right?
Don't lose it. Yes, that would not be good.
So actually, I got that. I was trying to think of something else here that. Well, let's do this then. What's for our audience, whoever's watching and following us, like, what's a key? I'll kind of wrap up things here. What's a key takeaway? Like, someone that is watching this, what would you like someone to know about you that maybe has seen this for the first time? A takeaway of who you are, or
Sure. I think what makes it unique and special for me, not just obviously being blessed with leading such a fine organization in such an amazing city. I think what makes it even more special for me is knowing this community and growing up in this community, not just necessarily working in this community. And again, not that I'm trying to take anything away from prior chiefs that have done their role, but I think growing up in the community and seeing the change over the last 33 years that I've lived in Irvine, into what it was in 1990 to what it is today in 2023,
big differences,
is yes, a huge difference.
Yeah.
To see how much it's changed and developed into what it is, and being part of that change, but also being a resident provides me that level of expectation the average Irvine resident has of its police department. So for me, I have the understanding of what is of how to do the job, but also have the understanding and compassion and connection with the resident, being a resident myself and having grown up in the city, of what is expected of not just the police department, but the person running the police department.
So the takeaway is, because you've spent so much time here, you grew up here, you were in the teen culture and everything at the time, that's helping you make you a better police chief, because you're from the culture, the local culture, and that side. Okay, so That is important. That's a good fact. I mean, you're the first police chief that's raised here, and so not that Chief Hamill and Chief Magison.
Maggard, yeah.
Maggard were not good. They were good too, but
Sure.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing.
It's just
that.
a different perspective.
Yes,
that I have.
exactly. So I'm kind of. I think I've asked you enough questions, and I just want to thank you again for coming into the studio
Absolutely.
today
Thank you
and
for having
sharing,
me. Yeah.
like, who you are. And as people, again, they see the badge and they may think a certain thing, and I think sharing just some of those life stories and pivotal things that have changed, your parents and your upbringing, all those are huge factors to making you who you are, and all go into where you are now in the role. And it's a very visible role in our community. So I hope people watching this have a much better perspective of you as a whole person, and not just only seeing a uniform and badge, right? I think that can make a big difference. So anyways, for you, thank you again for joining us today on another episode of What's Up Irvine. And do us a favor, if you like what you hear, share it with your friends, your networks. And if you have any ideas of people or topics that you'd like to hear about, send us an email to info@loveirvine.org, and we will read it and we'll factor that in for future guests. So thank you again for joining us today, and thank you again, Chief Kent.
Of course, thank you for having me.
I want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Intergrove. Intergrove provides video production, live streaming, and social media services to businesses, local governments, churches, and podcasts, just like this one. Their professional team has an attention to detail and a level of care that will just wow you. And their introductory pricing truly can't be beat. To get started, head on over to intergrove.org and contact them today. I also want to thank Shepherd's Grove Presbyterian Church, a radically hospitable faith community where there is a place for you.